Build your dreams, live rich, and leave rich.
I truly believe that living rich isn't about the flashy cars or those expensive holidays. It's really about living with a sense of financial peace of mind. Welcome to Live Rich and Leave Rich. Now, before we jump in, just a quick reminder, this is all for educational purposes. Please always consult a CBI-registered financial advisor to build a plan that's perfectly tailored for you.
So, what's on the map for today? Well, think of this as our little journey from feeling confused about money to having absolute clarity. First, we're going to talk about a common trap I call the endless marathon. Then, I'm going to hand you the map itself, your money's GPS. From there, we'll walk through the 3 key steps of the journey, see how it all plays out with a real-life story, and then I'll leave you with a concrete action plan and the most important things to remember. All right, let's get started.
All right, let's start with something that probably feels a little too familiar, even if we don't always admit it. It's this whole challenge of saving money with absolutely no destination in mind. I want you to ask yourself this. Honestly, are you just saving? You know, putting away a few thousand rupees here, a few thousand there, whenever you can? Now, it feels like the right thing to do, but it's kind of like running a marathon with no finish line. You're sweating, you're putting in all this effort, but you have no idea how far you have to go. And it creates this constant, low-level anxiety, just a quiet hum of worry in the back of your mind.
And that quiet hum, it becomes a full-on roar when the market crashes, right? The numbers turn red, and the first thought that just screams in our heads is, am I going to be okay? And that question is so terrifying because we honestly don't know the answer. We don't have a number for what enough really is. But what if you could silence that fear? What if you had a tool, a system to navigate all this uncertainty? Well, today, I'm giving you that tool. It's the GPS for your money, a simple 3-part system of goal, plan, and review.
So let's really unpack this big idea. I want you to picture this. You're about to go on a road trip. What's the very first thing you do? You open up Google Maps, right? Well, this system for your money is just as simple, and believe me, it's just as powerful.
Okay, first up is your goal. This is your destination. You wouldn't just get in the car and start driving and then figure out where you're going, would you? No, you type a specific address into the map. It's exactly the same with your money. A wish is saying, oh, I hope I can retire comfortably. A goal is saying, I will build a retirement fund of 5 crore rupees. It's specific, it's measurable, it's a real place on the map.
So once you have the destination, you need a plan. This is your vehicle and your route. In our road trip, are you taking the fast highway or maybe the slower, more scenic route? With your finances, this is your SIP amount, your systematic investment plan, and your asset allocation. And that's just a fancy way of saying the mix of your money between growth stuff like equities and safety stuff like debt. The right plan completely depends on your destination.
And finally, we have the review. This is your live GPS navigation. It's what keeps you on the right path. It's checking for traffic jams, for roadblocks, or maybe it'll find you a faster route. Your annual financial review does exactly the same thing. It tells you if you need to make a small adjustment to your plan to make sure you're still heading straight for your destination.
And this right here, this is the thing to remember. A goal without a plan, well, it's just a wish, isn't it? And a plan without a review is basically like driving with your eyes closed. It's just a guess. You absolutely need all 3. Goal, plan, and review working together to navigate your financial journey with real peace of mind. Okay, so we've got the big picture. Now let's zoom in and get our hands dirty. We're going to break down each of these 3 steps into practical, actionable details that you can start using, like today.
First things first, let's talk about goals. We have to turn those fuzzy wishes into solid, concrete goals. I want to say for my child's education, that's a beautiful wish. But a goal is specific, it's measurable, and it has a deadline. It sounds like this. I will save 27 lakh rupees in the next 15 years for my child's MBA program. You see the difference? One is a dream, the other is a destination plugged into your GPS.
But wait, where did that 27 lakhs number even come from? Well, this is the harsh reality we all have to face head-on. Inflation. An MBA that costs 10 lakhs today is probably going to cost around 27 lakhs in 15 years. That's because education inflation in India is running at about 7 to 10%. So, if you plan for today's price, you're actually planning to fall short. You have to plan for the future cost. Just think of inflation as a silent thief that's constantly trying to steal the value of your savings.
So, your goal is set. Now, how do you actually plan the journey? Simple.
Use something called the bucket strategy. All it means is you match your investment vehicle to your time horizon. For your short-term goals, things you need money for in less than 3 years, your number one focus has to be safety. So we're talking about debt funds or fixed deposits. But for those long-term goals, like retirement or that education fund that's 15 years away, your focus has to be on growth. And that's where equity mutual funds come into play. I mean, you wouldn't take a bicycle for a cross-country trip, right? Same logic.
And finally, the review. And listen, how you review is just as important as that you review. Checking your portfolio every single day, that's just a recipe for making emotional decisions. You see a dip, you panic, and you sell at the worst possible time. An annual review, on the other hand, is logical. It's a calm, scheduled check-in. This is your chance to do something called rebalancing. So if your equity investments is shot up, you sell a bit of that and move the profits into the safety of debt. This locks in your gains, and more importantly, it reduces your risk as you get closer and closer to your goal.
Now, theory's one thing, but a story really makes it stick. So, let's meet two friends, Ramesh and Suresh, and see how these two very different approaches play out in the real world. This is really going to show you the difference between having a map and just being lost.
So Ramesh is what we'd call a random saver. He just puts money into stocks whenever he has a little extra. Now, his daughter's college admission is just around the corner. And what happens? The market crashes. He has no choice but to sell his stocks at a huge loss just to pay the fees. The result for him? Immense stress. Now let's look at Suresh. Suresh is a planner. He had a specific goal, his son's education. He invested in equity mutual funds for 13 years, and, crucially, he reviewed his plan every year. 2 years before the fees were due, he started systematically moving his money from the risk of equity into the safety of debt funds. So when that same market crash happens, Suresh's money is safe. He pays the fees without a single worry. The result for him is dignity.
That story really shows the incredible power of having a system, doesn't it? So now it's your turn. It's time to start building your own system. Here's some simple homework that will help you go from just being a wisher to being a planner.
Here are 4 simple steps to get you started. First, just sit down with a piece of paper and write down 3 specific, time-bound financial goals. Second, do the math. Figure out the future cost of each of those goals after you account for inflation. Third, for each goal, start a separate SIP. This gives every investment a clear job to do. And lastly, and this is important, open your calendar right now and set a recurring annual reminder for your annual review. Do it now. Wow, we've covered a lot of ground. So before we finish up, let's just boil it all down to the most important truths that you really need to carry with you on this journey.
First, give every single rupee a job description by tying it to a specific goal. Second, please understand that your real enemy isn't the ups and downs of the market, it's inflation, silently eating away at your money's value. Third, always match the vehicle, equity or debt, to the road, which is your time horizon. And finally, review your journey logically, once a year. Don't react to the daily noise emotionally.
And I want to leave you with one final thought to really think about. If, for whatever reason, your income stopped tomorrow, do you have a clear map that shows you the path to financial survival? Or would you just be lost? A good plan is that map.
Now, building that map, it takes a bit of time and effort. If you need a detailed guide, I've actually created the Legacy Diary to help you organize your entire financial life. You can find the link for that down in the description. If this conversation was helpful to you, please subscribe, like, and share it with someone you care about. Thank you so much for your time. Live rich and leave rich.